So I wanted to start with deep perceiving. And so I sent out that questionnaire, just kind of asking you to rate different factors as far as what's the most important. And so I was going to go through those answers and then show you why some of these factors are more important than others. And I'm going to start from the bottom. We're going to start from the least important, and you're looking hopefully at your results right here. And so the least common of these four, if you didn't take the quiz, go ahead and take the quiz down below. I'm going to include a link to it in the YouTube video. But we want to rank these four factors in terms of importance in deep defense. In other words, is it a common reason someone gets open, or is it a less common reason? The factors were the cutter's momentum relative to their defender, the cutter having good or correct timing, the cutter's speed relative to their defender, is the cutter just faster, and the defender's positioning relative to their cutter. So I'm going to start with the least important one. And it's a bit of a trick question, sorry guys, but the least important one is, in terms of getting open, is timing. And the reason why is because timing has more to do with like presenting your deep cut in a window that is viable for your thrower to throw it to you than it does with actually getting open on your person. You can have a very poorly timed deep cut that gets open really easily, but then there's nowhere to throw it to you. So I like that we had, it seems like 28%. Speed was actually the number one answer. One of these correct answers is going to be mine because I took the quiz too. So only one person got that right. Shout out to that person, but everyone else answered speed. And I will say this, I was really surprised by this. Speed is pretty important. And so we're going to go to number 2 and number 3. And I think that they're kind of tied. I think I would give you credit if you answered either 1 and 2 or 3. And I also think they're directly tied together, meaning what influences the other. And I think number 2 or number 3, you can go either way. It would be, the cutter's speed relative to their defender and the defender's positioning relative to their cutter. So positioning and speed, this was a good one. Like it seems like a lot of people got that one right. And then momentum here, when we'll get to that one, a lot of people put momentum for number 2. And the reason why speed and positioning are so tied together is because, to me, the speed mismatch between the defender is what causes, it's what factors into your decision-making with your positioning. The faster your offensive player is than you, or the bigger speed ups they have, the more conservative with your positioning you need to be, and the more under you need to force them. Contrast this with when your speed is, you're like a lot faster than the person you're guarding. You can let them go deep. You can really force them out, because as soon as they go deep, you can close that gap and make that into a winning play for the defense. If you're guarding Jeff Babbitt versus guarding, Weinberg for New York, you can be more aggressive with your positioning against Weinberg, forcing him out versus Babbitt. Because if you force Babbitt out and you give him those 2 or 3 steps, he's going to take those 2 or 3 steps and he's going to turn them into 5 or 6, and he's going to get open really deep. So number 3 and number 2, kind of a tie, is speed and positioning. And number 1, and it's the king, right? And it's the most important by a wide margin. Only one person got that one right, but remember, this is me, so no one got this one right. The number 1 most important factor in terms of deep defense and defending the deep cut is momentum, right? And so momentum is your speed and which direction you're going to is one way to think about it. Or another way to think about it is, if you were to take a snapshot in the middle of a point, it's how fast could a player get to all of the spaces around him. So if I'm standing up and I'm sprinting downfield, I can get to the space in front of me very quickly. I cannot get to the space that is behind me very quickly, because I would have to stop and then turn around. Similarly, even when you're standing still, you're going to have better momentum going forward. Like, I can break out and go forward, or to your sides. I can break to this side. I can break to this side. Then you are going backwards, because in order to go backwards, you got to clear your hips, turn all the way around, and then drive your head over. So you would run, a 10-yard dash if you were to stand still. Fastest in this direction, second fastest in this direction, and then slowest going directly backwards. And what gets deep cutters open, and we're going to watch some of these clips, I'm going to show you to show how common this is when a deep cutter gets their defender to have bad momentum going away. Okay, they get their defender to kind of commit or to show some of their momentum towards the undercut, while the deep cutter hasn't pushed all their momentum towards the undercut, and then they turn and then they burn. We used to do those drills with the reaction belts. They rip the shit out of that belt. They generate a lot of separation, and now all of a sudden they're open deep. And we're going to watch some clips, but we're not going to watch some ultimate. We're going to watch some football clips because I think this is a really good example of what we're looking at. And we're going to start with this clip right here. Georgia versus Tennessee. And we're going to watch this matchup down here. It's one-on-one, and there's no help over the top. So this is very similar, in my opinion, to an ultimate matchup because it's one-on-one. And because it's one-on-one and there's no deep safety over the top, he's got to play defense the same way we would play defense in ultimate, which is he's got to deny the deep ball. He cannot get beat deep. And he wants to compete on the undercuts. In football, the undercuts would be a hitch or a cross route. So he's got to deny the deep ball and try to contest everything underneath. But no matter what, he cannot get beat deep. And I think it's really interesting when you look at his positioning, right? One job is he cannot get beaten to the end zone, and he chooses to position as aggressively as possible. He is right on the line of scrimmage. He cannot be any more aggressive with his positioning. Also, this wide receiver right here, Cedric Tillman, was a first-team All-American in 2021. He's coming back off injury, but he is a dominant receiver. He is really, really good. This is not a slight on the talent that Tennessee had at wide receiver. So he's got good speed, and he's got really aggressive positioning. But what I love about this is he doesn't sacrifice his momentum. And so we're just going to watch this clip.
The 39 of Georgia. Hooker going to go long to the near corner to Tillman, and it's intercepted.
So it's an interception. And we're going to watch it from the better angle on the second one. So what he does here, what this defender does is, even though he's got really aggressive positioning, and even though he's against a really, really fast wide receiver, he doesn't sacrifice his momentum going backwards. He's just going to play here, and as soon as the wide receiver goes out, he's going to turn, and he's just going to go as fast as he can, okay, and keep his momentum going deep to make sure that he doesn't get beat deep. So he doesn't react to any of these undercuts. He just turns and burns. And so he makes the big defensive play. Contrast this with this play. Okay. This is a very, very similar situation. One-on-one, right down here. No safety over the top. So this cornerback right here cannot get beaten deep. The only thing he cannot allow is for this wide receiver to go deep, because if he does, it's going to be an easy touchdown. And unlike the previous one, this is Ladd McConkey. He's like a really solid wide receiver. He is not, going to be a high draft pick the way that Cedric Tillman was. And you'll notice his positioning is a lot more conservative. He's giving a lot more space. And we're going to watch this clip.
The motion man. Play fake. Bennett loads it. Fires to the end zone. McConkey touchdown.
And this one has a much different result. Right? This one is an easy touchdown. We're going to watch it from this angle. We're going to show you why that is.
First down.
So in this one, he's got a lot more conservative positioning. He doesn't, and he's got a much better speed matchup. But we're going to watch here.
Watch it. Just a little wiggle, and he's gone.
Boom. So what the wide receiver does, and what a lot of these ultimate receivers do, is they give you a little bit of this fake. And you'll see his hips are still pointed upfield, and he's only really slowed down, but he hasn't changed directions at all. And so his momentum, this wide receiver's momentum going into this space is really good. He can get to this space right here very quickly. Contrast that with the person defending him, who bit on this little bit of a fake. He gets his momentum going this way, so his momentum is going this way. He can get to the 30 really quickly. He cannot get to the end zone really quickly. And that's what causes this easy separation. Lots of separation, and now it's an easy touchdown.
Perfect call.
And I see similar things to this in Ultimate all of the time. So this video is just going to be part one. I'm going to send out part two. But the number one most important factor for getting open deep or preventing someone getting open deep is momentum. It's keeping good momentum going towards the end zone, so that way the person you're guarding doesn't just turn and burn and roast you to the end zone.